There are 3 Photoshop techniques that can give your landscapes such a wow factor that you probably won't believe how easy they are to do. So let me show you the exact steps you can follow to add these techniques into your repertoire. Starting with number 1, which adds a beautiful, natural looking hazy light into any golden hour, sunrise or sunset image. Seriously, it doesn't get any easier than this. Now, the first way to use it is virtually with a single click of the mouse. And the second way adds another couple of mouse clicks, but it makes it even better. Now, for the first way, all you need is the brush tool set on a low opacity and 0 hardness, and a new empty layer. So, step 1, hold Alt on the keyboard and click on the brightest part of the sky that has a tiny bit of color in it to sample that color. And then, step 2, click the mouse once where you want to add the hazy light. And, believe it or not, that is it. Now, for the best results, if the sun is out of frame, then brush the light in from the sun's direction, kind of overlapping the edge of the frame. Or if the sun is in the frame, just center your brush stroke on the sun. Now, if the color is too strong, then you can adjust the brush color to make it closer to white. And if the effect is just a touch too strong overall, then tweak the layer opacity to blend it in a little bit more subtly. Now, here's the second way to use this effect to make it blend seamlessly with your image. And for the quickest way to do that, once you've done the first part, you can just click this button on my free luminosity masking plugin, which you can download from the link in the description and pinned comment. And then just click the new layer mask button down here. And you'll see that the layer now has this highlights mask automatically applied, and it looks great. Now, technique number 2 is one that you might have seen before, but it tends to be applied too strongly, which makes it kind of obvious that the technique was used. So first I'll show you the quick steps to create the effect, and then I'll show you how I always like to use it that makes it way more subtle and effective. So step 1, if you already have multiple layers in edits, you'll need to create a merged copied layer by pressing Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E on the PC, or Command, Option, Shift, E on a Mac. Or if you only have a background layer, then duplicate it. Then you can add a Gaussian blur to this new layer. Switch the layer's blend mode to overlay or soft light, and you can choose which depending on your preference. Now, when you first do this, it looks way too strong right off the bat, so the usual way to reduce the strength is just with the layer opacity here. But the secret sauce to making this a far more effective enhancement is, just like with the first technique, to restrict it to the image highlights only. Again, you can use my free luminosity masking plugin to load a highlight selection, and then simply add a layer mask to the layer, and the selection gets applied to the mask, meaning this effect is now only visible in the image highlights. Now with this luminosity mask in place, you can usually use a bit of a higher layer opacity too, so give that a slide up and down just to see what looks best. Now, I discovered technique number 3 kind of by accident one time when I was midway through creating the previous technique I just showed you, because when you look at that blurred layer before changing the blend mode, I was looking at it and I kind of realized that basically I was just looking at a vaguely detailed set of blurry colors that somewhat resemble the image. So I thought, what would happen if I just brushed those colors into the image without going through the whole duplicate layer thing? Well, first, it would be fewer steps to remember, and second, it would actually allow me to be more intentional with where I add this glowing, vibrant effect. And so a technique that I now call dodging and burning with color was born. To do it, simply add a new empty layer to your image, change the blend mode to overlay, and then with the brush tool, sample the colors from your image, just like you did in technique number 1 actually, and then brush those colors back over the same areas you sampled them from. And then what happens here, basically darker samples are effectively burning and lighter colors are dodging. So you can use this to create some really cool highlights in key areas, similar to how you might normally use regular dodging and burning techniques to do the same kind of highlighting. And here's the kicker, you can actually even restrict these brushstrokes to just the highlights or just the shadows if you first add a luminosity mask to your empty layer. So let's say I want to brush this warm color into only the brighter highlights. So I can add my new layer, switch the layer's blend mode to overlay or soft light, load a luminosity selection, in this case a highlights one, add a layer mask, which now becomes a luminosity mask because of that selection, and then I can just brush into the image knowing that the color is being restricted automatically to those highlights, even if my brush goes over the edges. So check out the difference when I disable the mask, and you can see how accurate the masked version has become because of it. Now this next technique is one that helps you add depth into your landscapes to make them really pop, so watch this next video to see exactly how to use it.